Know the beauty of thy will, and from it let me not stray, but deliver me. From it let me not stray, but deliver me from negativity. Baptize me in your majesty, christen me with the love that is free. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, and I realize that we are one, and only with these eyes do I see. Thy word is heard from mountains high, in valleys low, through summer skies, in lands of war and lands where there is peace. Te te makuta ne kadashama matulera hewa hela wateshpukta. From Catholic saints to Hindu names, Buddhist chants and Zen refrains, thus all the paths our feet walk to be free. Thus all the paths our feet walk to be free. Thus all the paths our feet walk to be free. Baruch atah Adonai, Om Shanti El Shaddai, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Give me this day my daily bread. Forgive me all my trespasses, and lead me not into dismay, but let me pray upon the highest hill. Let me know the beauty of thy will, and from it let me not stray, but deliver me from negativity. Baptize me in your majesty, christen me with the love that is free. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, and I realize that we are one, and only with these eyes do I see. Thy word is heard from mountains high, in valleys low, through summer skies, in lands of war and lands where there is peace. Te te makuta ne kadashama matulera hewa hela wateshpukta. From Catholic saints to Hindu names, Buddhist chants and Zen refrains, thus all the paths our feet walk to be free. Thus all
Good morning, Unity Village Chapel, and welcome to this sacred service. We are broadcasting live from Missouri, usually Unity World Headquarters, Unity Village Chapel area in Missouri. And now we are all around the globe in our homes. So we're giving everyone a moment to get online because all of our in-person community is navigating hopping online today, but it is beautiful to see so many faces in the Zoom room. If you can, turn on your video screen and take a look at everyone who's here. And if you are joining today's spiritual service on YouTube or on, if you usually link on the Facebook platform, you can pop over to YouTube or you can go to unityvillagechapel.org and hop into this Zoom room called our virtual sanctuary so that you can connect with people here. And this is where our deep dive will be after the service today. So with that said, I want to put a lot of love in our hands and just open up our hearts to bring in this service today, to connect with each other with an opening prayer. So I invite with you this moment to have its way within our being. There is one power and one presence, one light, one love, one God, one source. It is love. It flows in us, through us, and as us in wondrous ways. So we breathe into that truth this morning, knowing that we are right where we need to be, guided, strengthened, inspired, surrounded in holy light, inspired to take right action, inspired to stand in light and justice, inspired to stand in spiritual practice and spiritual principles, inspired to move forward into each moment, connected with Source. And so on this morning, we go right to the heart, to the authentic heart of right where each one of us is. We bring into this space all of our prayers, all of our intentions for our nation, for our communities, for our states, all in Minnesota, for all affected by the weather, for the world. Just bring it all into prayer. Bring it all into this moment. And we breathe into our authenticity together and knowing who and whose we are, knowing the power that flows to us, through us, and as this magnificence we call life. And so we call it forth and we call it up and we call it God. And taking a deep inhale and a full exhale, we release this prayer into law. And so it is. So it is. Namaste. So welcome, friends. It is interesting to be full back into an online portal this morning. So we're getting adjusted. I want to thank our behind the scenes team. You are amazing. Thank you for your light. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your skills and your presence. Welcome, welcome, welcome to anyone who is joining us at Unity Village Chapel for the first time. We welcome you. We bless you. We invite you to type your little hellos and where you're from on whatever platform you are experiencing this service from. And if you are from the local area, we invite you back next Sunday for an in-person service where you can get hugs and handshakes and feel all the goodness of the grounds at Unity Village Chapel and of our sanctuary. So, with that, I want to just welcome everyone that's here in consciousness. We have a beautiful spiritual community that goes beyond walls at Unity Village Chapel. Everyone is part of this spiritual community. Everyone contributes in wondrous and different various ways because we understand the practice that we are an inlet and an outlet of all that is God. So with that this morning, would you put some love in your hands to bless our young ones? There are young ones in your heart. There are young ones around our globe. There are young ones experiencing peace and in places of trouble. So with that, whether it's weather, whether it's community, whether it's home. We come together for a blessing that puts forth peace, that puts forth love, that puts forth grace as we bless our young ones in your life, in our world. Together, we love you, we bless you, and we appreciate you just the way you are. And so it is. In unity, we believe in one power and one presence, God, the good omnipotence. We see God as love, as wisdom and divine mind. We honor all spiritual practices and the diversity of paths that lead to enlightenment and awakening. We believe that we're born blessed, and through meditation, affirmation, and prayer, we remember this truth. It is through the law of mind action that we create harmony and unity in our lives and in our world. So as you cozy in this morning for your spiritual practice, know that you are loved, know that you are welcome, know that you are seen. Namaste. I'm going to hand it over to our Justin for the announcements this morning. Hello, Justin.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome, welcome, welcome from right down the street. Thank you for hopping online today, for being so present, and for circulating your love with our announcements and daily word today.
Absolutely. There's no place I'd rather be this morning. The last time I joined you was the fourth Sunday in January or December, excuse me, for our burning bowl ceremony. And the sanctuary was set up a little different. I had the opportunity to be on stage, and that was an interesting new perspective for me. And I mentioned that I love new perspective and a change. And this is my first time in the Zoom room. Normally, when we attend online, it is through the Facebook link. So I'm so glad to be here in our virtual sanctuary this morning. And I am Justin George. If we don't know each other yet, I would love to get to know you. So when we're together in person or here online, please just shoot me a message. But yeah, next week we should be in the sanctuary, and I'd love to meet. The announcements for this morning. Registration is available for all events on our website, the UVC app, and in the weekly e-newsletter. Reverend Aaron will be leading a special Babies and Bellies blessing on Sunday, February the 8th, during our 10:30 a.m. service. Please bring your little one or little ones for a joyful celebration. Join us for Soup Sunday, February the 1st, following the service, and enjoy good soup and warm fellowship while supporting Unity Village Chapel. The Chanting for Peace is Friday, January the 30th, from 6:30 p.m. to 8 in the Fillmore Chapel and online. We will be chanting to honor a season for nonviolence. We're accepting applications for those called to serve on the Board of Trustees. Applications are due Friday, February the 6th, 2026. For questions, speak with our board chair, Bonita Paulson, or email the office. If you are curious about Unity or interested in becoming a member, join our 3-week Explorer and Membership class on Zoom, Saturdays, February 7th, 14th, and 21st from 1 to 3 p.m. Our Unity Prayer Series also meets Saturdays, February 7th, 14th, and 21st. This is from 10 to 11:30 a.m. on Zoom, where you'll learn about Unity Prayer, New Thought Principles, and experience guided prayer together. Our prayer chaplain training begins in February with 2 follow-up sessions in March and April. No prior experience is needed, only to be a member and a heart for prayer and service. You'll learn sacred listening, holding spiritual space, and the fundamentals of UVC prayer chaplaincy. Registration is open for Women's Rising 2026. This year's theme is Cultivate Joy. It is happening Saturday, April the 18th at Unity Village, where you will enjoy speakers, lunch, and connections with local women-owned businesses and healers. Deep Dive begins right after service in the Zoom interactive room. If you've joined us today on Zoom, you're already there. Otherwise, look for the link in the chat or go to the virtual sanctuary tab on our website, unityvillagechapel.org. And once again, registration is available for all events on our website, the UVC app, and in the weekly e-newsletter. We now move into our giving and the reading of the daily word. We give thanks for your loving participation in the flow of divine abundance. You may give as a sustaining giver through our app and website, by checks, or text to give at 816-800-9296. Let us take a moment of sacred exchange to bless our gifts as we affirm together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. And now I invite you to relax and close your eyes if that's comfortable for you as I read today's daily word. Sunday, January 25th, 2026. The word for the day is zeal. I bring zeal and passion to life. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote in his 94th year, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. His example shows me that regardless of my age or station in life, zeal is a divine gift, a part of me, always mine to call upon. Through it, I feel enthusiastic and energetic about life. I express joy and excitement as I live, love, and share of myself through service. I am purposeful and passionate and positive. I live authentically and make a bold impression on the world. I share my talents and gifts with a spirit of generosity and service. I begin each day with eagerness, and I end it with gratitude, happy to share my zeal. Psalms chapter 100, verse 2 reads, Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing.
So we breathe into this space of meditation. I invite you into a time of mindfulness right where you are. So getting comfortable and just taking a few breaths for our contemplative practice today. If you are new to meditating, simply connect with the breath, going in and out of the body, focus on the heart and moving from the head to the heart, and as if the heart is breathing itself. So we arrive right where we are, remembering there is no right or wrong way to enter the silence, and we connect and acknowledge our connectedness. So we draw the spine long and the crown of the head high. We allow the breath to become natural, feeling it move in the body and out of the body. We allow ourselves into a moment of gratitude right here, knowing that we are joined with others. We're joined with others that in truth we are one with. Each one of us going to the depth of the God of our understanding in this moment of practice together. In this space in heart and divine mind, where we know we are connected with all of humanity, all of creation. So we allow ourselves to feel that in this moment, to lean into the power of that connection, the power of that truth. It may seem to the eyes that there are many of us, but out of the many, there is one. So we breathe into the practice, allowing the thoughts to drift off as we focus on the truth that there is one life, one power, one God. With each inhale and exhale, we allow the fullness of the Spirit in this moment, together in the silence, holding silent space. So breathing into this space, we bring our attention and our awareness back to the here and now. By the power of this practice, may all beings have freedom from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings know that they are born blessed and here to be a blessing. May all beings know God as love and themselves as emanations of this love. And so it is. Namaste. So friends, we are exploring the world around us and the world within us. And we are knowing that we live in an infinite universe that allows us to have a spiritual practice to attend to all that is around us and all that is within us with authenticity and with spiritual principles and the exploration of divine laws. So we come together this Sunday applying everything on so many levels to our metaphysical journey, to this hero's journey, as Joseph Campbell talks about it, that we walk on this earth plane. We are divinely in the middle of the book Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth, one of Unity's greatest minister teachers. And we're on chapter 4, if you're following along, chapter 4 and 5. And if you're not, that's no worries. You don't need to be following along to be able to get where we are. That's very metaphysical, isn't it? You don't need to be following along to get where we are. We have everything within us in each moment to show up, and we believe in unity that each moment is put before us in a divine way. So we breathe into the practice. I want to start this Sunday with a quote from Eckhart Tolle. He said, "Whenever you deeply accept this moment as it is, no matter what form it takes, you are still. You are at peace. Whenever you deeply accept this moment as it is, no matter what form it takes, you are still. You are at peace." So I affirm that. I affirm that the portal to co-creating a world that works for all, to unleashing and unlocking abundance, to living in spiritual principles and living out the truth that we are one, that God is the greatest oneness beyond what we could even put words to, beyond what we could even conceptualize, that this oneness is everywhere present and is all powerful and is the fabric of our being, the fabric, the very nature of our being. So we practice this truth. We come together to practice this truth, to put it into action, to take and to allow ourselves to accept everything as it is, the human condition, and to apply the spiritual principles and the spiritual condition so that we can step out of fear, we can step out of lack consciousness, we can step out of things that get us out of and off of that practice, and we can call forth from the creative faculty in our being. We can call forth from our true nature, those parts of us where we know that we know that we know that we are one in the one, that we know we're more than each moment that appears to us, that we know we're more than any limitations, any illusions, any fears, to know that we're more than this relative realm of life that we experience. There's a beautiful story, a beautiful experience called the overview effect. And it was shared by an astronaut who spent about 178 days in space, a NASA astronaut. And so that's about half of a year to spend on the International Space Station. And when he returned, he had some deep observations. And if you've read about people going into space, they have interesting experiences when they come back and process this life walk in this earth and how we as humans do it. So when he came back, it says that he came back with a transformed understanding of humanity itself. From orbit, he described Earth as not looking like a bunch of countries with different borders and with competing interests, but it appeared as a singular radiant sphere suspended in darkness. No lines to divide the continents, no flags to mark territories. From miles above the surface, conflicts seemed small and every human connection unavoidable. He came to the understanding that Earth is astonishingly fragile, that humanity operates within one interconnected system, that all these energies and ideas that we put into national borders and economic divisions and conflicts, they're human-made abstracts. They're human-made conditions, they're choices. And that the environmental, the social, the economic consequences of our actions, of our togetherness, and of our awareness are shared. They're shared and they're universal. So with that awareness comes a deep awakening, a deep sense of moral accountability, not just awe, but moral accountability, moral justice. One of his most quoted insights is that the real problem on Earth isn't a lack of resources or a lack of technology. He says it's a disconnect between how our systems operate and what actually supports life. I'll say that again. The real problem isn't a lack of resources or technology. It's a disconnect between how our systems operate and what actually supports life. He went on to frame this as a move from a me-centered worldview to a we-centered one, aligning economics, politics, and culture with the health of the whole planet. He began questioning humanity's priorities and really had the sudden realization that humanity shares a single closed system. No backups, no escape route, no second home for this Earth suit. So we are on this rock floating through space, but that's not always right in front of us, is it? And we're in the condition where we can see lack, where we can see divisiveness, and where we are sometimes operating, right, in a world that seems like the most real thing that affects us. The separation, the conflict, the lack. Eric Butterworth gives us a higher teaching based on unity truth principles. That's the teaching of abundance. That's the teaching of God as one, God as oneness. As the astronaut Ron Garan experienced this awakening within himself, he saw us needing to become accountable. So seeing space from Earth didn't make him feel small, it made him feel responsible. It made him feel accountable. Because when we truly understand, it says that when you truly understand that we're all riding on the same fragile spacecraft through the universe, the idea of us versus them quietly disappears and is replaced by a single unavoidable truth. There is only one us. Only one us, which comes to only one God, right? Only one source, only one body, only oneness. So can we step into that truth as a practice and apply the awakening for each one of us that will demonstrate God as oneness? God as oneness. Eric Butterworth talks about it in Spiritual Economics, and it's the same experience that Ron had in his space travels. And it's the same experience that we have when we awaken to the truth that there is more than enough. There is more than enough. The resources in the world, the spiritual resources, are always here. So how do we practice that? How do we step into that practice and call it forth and call it up? Well, these chapters this week from Eric Butterworth's Spiritual Economics are if you can believe and a grateful heart. If you can believe and a grateful heart. 2 spiritual practices that relate to spiritual laws that get us into the flow of life, that remind us of who and whose we are. So that experience of recognizing that we're not competing forces here on the planet, and even that the earth itself is not something that we can separate from in the human condition, brings us to that oneness that is God. So if we know that God is love and God is oneness, then where does it break down? Where does it break down? It breaks down in the illusions that we can see ourselves as separate, that we see ourselves as competing, that we see duality, that we see an us and them, a for me and not for me. So can we stand in this moment with the words of Eckhart Tolle, where he said, whenever you deeply accept this moment as it is, no matter what form it takes, you are at peace. Can we breathe into the truth that we are right where we are by divine appointment? And we are here to be practicing the presence in that moment, no matter what that moment is. So Eric Butterworth says that part of the key to this demonstration of truth principles is to recognize this misconception we have, this missing the mark. And it's not to throw out any other God concepts. I believe there's a world where, almost all of our God concepts can be in there, but to break through to this one, to get God into motion in our world and in our lives. And he says this: God is not a super person out there to whom we pray and from whom we beg favors. God is a life process by which we live. God is a life process by which we live. Emerson suggests, he says, that when you break with the God of tradition and cease from the God of the intellect, that God will fire you with the presence. Isn't that what we're waiting for? We're ready for, we're looking for, is the world, everyone to be fired up with the presence. Not to be waiting for or praying for something outside to come save us, but something to emerge from within us that reflects the consciousness of truth and the consciousness of God, that reflects the knowing and the truth that we are one. Eric Butterworth puts this into motion, saying that we need to get a clear awareness of the faith process. and how to set it to work for us. So that's what we're diving into today. How do we get a clear awareness of the faith process? The faith process, as Charles Fillmore talked about, is the perceiving power of the mind linked with our ability to shape substance, to co-create. So how we use what we are as spiritual beings, how we use the mind-heart connection, our divine intelligence to create. Eric Butterworth said, God is the transcendent whole of things. So can we hold to that truth, that experience of God as the transcendent whole of things? The God of life is the God of all. So when we tune into that whole of things, we see things in different ways. He talks about how the master teacher lived from this place and demonstrated from this place because he had a spiritually disciplined consciousness that was always centered in source, always centered in the wholeness that we are, always centered in the truth and the practice. In the human condition, we so often hop into limitation. We hop into fear, we hop into anxiety, we hop into this illusion of separation. And then we act and we create and we co-create and we react from this space. But it's not the truth of our being. It's not the spiritual fabric or makeup of divine reality. Eric Butterworth gives us the definition of faith that is consciousness centered in universal source. Consciousness centered in universal source. He said faith simply tunes into and turns on the divine flow that has always been present. That has always been present. Now, one of the keys here to seeing this is stepping into the law and the practice where we start to recognize that all that is has already been given, that we actually live in a world of abundance, and we begin to see through what is in front of us to the truth of it. It's not so much strong-arming things and saying, let something happen that's not here. It's saying, shift my eyes, help me move forward into the truth that is right in front of me, but just beyond my view. Just like Ron in the spacecraft going like, you know, I'm here on the planet. I represent a country. I represent these interests. I have my own family, all these things. And then he goes into this experience of changing his perception, changing his perspective. And the whole thing is so much more clear. There is only oneness. And there are all of these resources, and there's actually togetherness in it. And we need to be accountable to each other. We need to be one in this experience. That there is this magnificent beauty, that magnificent fragility of recognizing our vulnerability together of who and whose we are. So the idea is not so much thinking things need to come to us that don't exist, and recognizing that we are to focus on things and to bring forth the things that exist but might not be materializing to the eyes, that might not be experienced by the heart, that might not be in front of us and among us. Eric Butterworth says there is a sense in which faith doesn't really change things at all. It changes the way you relate to them. There is an all-sufficiency even within the insufficiency. There is an all-sufficiency even within the insufficiency. Your faith, he says, can relate to the whole or to the partial. Our faith can relate to the whole of it or to the partial, and it will be as we believe. So what is our part? What is our part? Because we are not powerless beings. We're taught from saints and sages throughout time, and we know when we look into each other's eyes, we know when we breathe into our shared humanity and our expansive divinity, that we are more than meets the eye. So are we willing to take this on as co-creators, to be not just experiencers of life, but to be activators, to be accountable, to step forward into what is ours to do, how our minds, how our hearts, how our actions and our demonstrations show up. Eric says that all the great achievements in history have been made by strong individuals who refused to consult statistics or to listen to those who could prove convincingly that they wanted to do, in fact, ultimately did do what was completely impossible. I'm going to read that again. Eric Butterworth said, all the great achievements of history have been made by strong individuals who refused to consult statistics or to listen to those who could prove convincingly what they wanted to do, and in fact, ultimately did do, was completely impossible. So we don't look at the limitations. We birth from a place of belief, of knowing who we are and what we are. So that means that the truth that we're trying to demonstrate, the truth that we're seeking, is already the fabric of life. It is already the nature of life. It already is. We are just seeing it. And as we see it, as we know it, we call it forth. He says, right where you are in your present level of development, there is a limitless resource of wisdom and guidance, of availability and creativity, and substance and supply, through which you can do and do superlatively well all that needs to be done. I invite us for just a moment to close our eyes, to breathe in those words from Eric Butterworth that were written so long ago to today. Just breathe them in. Right where you are, right where I am, right where we are, in your present level of development. That's all of us. That's the world. Everything is included. Right where you are, in your present level of development, there is a limitless resource of wisdom and guidance. We lean into that. Of ability and creativity, of substance and supply, through which we can do and do superlatively well all that needs to be done. I invite you in your own way right now to breathe into that as a practice, to ground that within you. He continues, if you can let go of limited self-identifications, that also includes limited stories. Stories of the world around us, stories of the world within us. If you can let go of limited self-identifications, if you can believe, then we can do all that needs to be done. And bringing our energy and our intention back to this moment. He says we're called to increase our awareness with our true nature, our spiritual inheritance, our true nature, that nature that we see that is abundant life all over. Increase our awareness of our true nature, which will in turn increase our flow of substance. So how do we increase our flow of substance in practical ways? We turn around the I can't and we turn it into I can. We recognize that faith is expectancy. Faith is tied into where we ground our knowing and what we call forth, what we know is possible, and not just possible like it's possible, but it's dead and it's far off and it's never going to be for me or it's never going to be for us, but that it is right there. It is right there, just as alive if I see it as if I don't see it. And so I am here to call it up. And it is ours to take the step of getting centered into divine flow. Eric Butterworth talks about practice and the idea of like, well, when will this just happen? When will I have done the practice enough that it's just automatic and I can stop practicing? I can stop bringing my attention to there and it'll just flow. And he talks about an athlete, and an athlete, when they are activating their gifts and their skills, they don't just practice once and let it go. That it is an active thing. Using our faith, the perceiving power of the mind, and linking it with the ability to shape substance is an activity. It is something that we practice. It is something that we step into actively. It's not that there's no further need for practice, that in fact, the higher we climb, he says, the higher we demonstrate, the more we become proficient, the greater the need for the practice. That's stepping into each moment, the awareness that we are right where we need to be. Like Eckhart Tolle said, whatever we do, whenever we deeply accept this moment as it is, no matter what form it takes, we enter the stillness. We enter the peace, and it is from that place that we move forward. He says, there may be times that you say to yourself, and I think a lot of us have been hearing this in our own minds and around our world. So I just want to honor and acknowledge that that's the human condition to hear this. He says, and this is written, forever ago. There may be times when you say to yourself, but this problem is really beyond solution. But this problem is really beyond solution. After all, I am only human. He says, what do they expect? I am only human. But you are not only human. Can we say that to ourselves? Can we say that to each other? That's the truth. You are not only human. We are not only human. Yes, if you're in the virtual sanctuary, people are saying it to each other. They're looking into the eyes of each other and saying it. You are not only human. Do you believe that in the core of your being? Like, this is not some getting together. This is not some church experience outside of the life of reality. This is it. This is it. Do you feel it right where you are? You are not only human. We are divine emanations of an insanely incredible impulse of life that made not only this gorgeous blue marble flowing through space, but it made the cosmos, and it made you, and it made the heartbeat, and it made the mind. We can breathe into that. Can we trust that? We may not be able to trust what we see around us. Don't trust what you see with the human eyes, but trust what we come into in the heart. What is behind the eyes? What is beyond the senses? He says the human of you is a shell that encloses the divine of you. So we step into what he calls the diligent practice of identifying yourself as a limitless expression of an unlimited universe. A limitless expression of an unlimited universe. So what are the demonstrations that you are called to? What are the demonstrations that we are called to? And what are our practices that help us get into that? In the chapter, A Grateful Heart, he says, nothing else can satisfy or fulfill unless you enjoy the freedom that comes from control of your inner world of mind and emotions. So he gives us the keys on how we direct this flow of life and this energy. And it's by recognizing that we are not just recipients, we are not just victims of this, but we are co-creators. He talks about gratitude, and gratitude not as a reaction, not as an experience or a response, but gratitude as creative. Saying that gratitude is not for God as an outside entity, but gratitude is a generative field of consciousness. I don't know where we are, but I think we're back. Can I get a nod if we are back? We are back. I don't know if you were all still there and I was just gone. And it's so metaphysical, isn't it? I was like, where did everyone go? So if you're live streaming and it stopped, I don't even know. See, I don't even know if it stopped and just I left or if it kept going. But this is life sometimes. This is the spiritual practice. This is it. We feel alone and we don't know if we're connected and we don't know if it's still out there. I just got a little message saying I paused only. But do you feel that? Do you feel that? I feel like that sometimes. Is this real? What's real? If I can't see it, is it still there? If I can't see you, are you still there? Is the service still going? Is the practice still real? Did I mess the whole thing up and is it gone? Did I cut everything out? Are we still circulating the flow of life? Eric Butterworth says that a grateful heart does not need something to be grateful for. It's not a reaction and it's not a response. That we have these limited ideas, but a grateful mind actually attracts to it what is needed and necessary in each moment. That the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of spirit is within us. And that when we turn from the appearance of lack, when we turn from the solid structures outside that seem to limit, and we turn away from that, we get a view from the top. Just like that view from space, just like Justin in our announcement said that he, has had the experience being on platform and leading the announcements from the ground level or from, the elevated platform. We are called to elevate our platform, to align it with our divine intuition, to align it with the part of us that is connected to our wisdom. And that's what the master teacher did. The master teacher blessed everything before him. I was working with my daughter the other day, and we found this little chain that she got for her birthday. It's a chain of dollar bills, and there were many of them. And she started for the first time unraveling them, unrolling them, and taking them from, trying to see how you can see them, taking them from this linked chain that's pulled together and pulling them out so that she could see her birthday gift, what she received. And as she was unfolding them, I realized I better say something to her because it kind of looks like a game. You can fold money, but I realized she might not know that you can't just take them and start coloring on them. You can't just take them and start ripping them into smaller pieces or make some other creation with them. And so I just made note to her and I just said, now remember, these are dollars, so you don't write on them, you don't rip them. They can be folded and you can unfold them, but you don't destroy them. And she said, why? Like, why are they different? And I said, because these represent the energy flow. They represent our gifts that we put into action and that we circulate. And these go through everyone's homes. These, after they are in our home, they will not stay with us. They will be in someone else's home, someone else's pocket. So holding that dollar, holding that money and blessing it, we know that it represents something. It represents the flow of life. It's in my house. And in that moment with her, I am so tuned into, like, literally getting into my mind and seeing how this dollar was in so many other homes, was in so many wallets, was in so many pockets, was in so many stores, was in so many restaurants, went through so many hands, was received for so many gifts, was given for so many services. And that's why we don't rip it up. That's why we don't draw on it. That's why we honor it, because we recognize that it represents something. And it moves through, and it will continue to move through and to be in circulation. And this is the fabric of the flow of life. This is what it represents. And you know what it says on here? E pluribus unum. Out of many, one. Out of many, one. This is the truth of our practice, the truth of the spiritual universe. That we are one with the divine flow of life. We are one with the one. I close with these words from Eric Butterworth. He said, our lack of perception, lack of the grateful heart keeps us from experiencing it. We have the choice to be great or small. When we are grateful, we are great. When we become lax in the expression of gratitude, we become little people with little minds, leading little inconsequential lives. He says, your thanksgiving is more than a response to what is happening around you or to you. Your thanksgiving is gratitude in knowing you are a co-creator, immersed in the universal flow of life. And so it is. Amen. Namaste. Blessings on this sacred Sunday, friends. If you have not joined us in the deep dive before, grab your coffee. It's a funky Sunday, but I love funky Sundays because they're authentic and they're a little wild and they're a little crazy. And we're here together. And this is the ride on the little marble. So find your little cozy spot on the little marble that you're riding through space with me and with everyone else here. Grab a little beverage, get cozied in. And if you've not come to the deep dive yet, come on over or sit and just grab $1 and bless it and think about everywhere it's been, or look out your window at the planet, touch the earth, touch a tree, and be grateful. We will see you next Sunday at Unity Village Chapel. We are grateful to have a community of practice and a community of consciousness together that is real, that we can feel, and that helps us remember who and whose we are. Namaste. Happy Sunday. Amen.
You can all transition real quick with just the prayer for protection. You can keep yourselves muted and just go through it together.
There you go, Mark. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. So I'm just going to hop in here. And thank you, Mark, for saying that, because that's how I was supposed to close the service. And actually had a beautiful plan, but we can do it together right now. It's got to be real and authentic. It's a little nerve-wracking, when things are different, and we haven't done this. I'm seeing Sam and Patricia. We haven't done this form for so long. But what I was going to have us do at the end was just breathe into, when we do the peace song, just breathe into it. We'll begin to do the first few lines of it, of let there be peace on earth. Let's say that together. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me, with God as creator. Family, all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment, to live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Namaste.